Anyway, there's a lot of things that are misconceptions by people. Like, for instance, like you can't sue the government. Well, you can sue the government, and like you can't sue police departments. Well, you can sue them a little bit, and there are grounds for suing a police department. You just can't sue them for being like, well, I was going 90 and they arrested me. It's like, well, now you actually that's called breaking the law and whatever. I mean, now if they try to get your phone number and try and rape you, well, that's different. Then you can sue and or whatever. Well, actually, you can't sue. No, you can't sue the police department. The police department for something like that. You can sue the police officer though, because that's an individual action and not the action of the police department. So, or if a cop like like shoots you and your son, you know, you can't sue the police department, but you can sue him and blah 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 and put him in jail and all that kind of other stuff because well, it depends. If your son's trying to shoot him, then it's self defense. It gets all complicated. Anyway, and how Nixon and JFK actually came to power in the first place was by doing fraudulent lawsuits, pretty much. And then later on, they said, well, it's legal and just. And they used other people to go, oh, it's legal and just. And then they basically just used a bunch of judges, and pretty much the women were against what the men were going to do, and because it was just stupid. And so they threatened, and then they killed them, and then they did this in America, and then they basically said, yes, it's legal and just. And pretty much they were completely fraudulent anyway. And one of them wasn't even a judge. He was a homeless guy. Like I said, they picked it apart. Like I said, 800 galaxies, 400 planets, and one and three or four other planets basically picked it all apart. Like, oh, that's how they did it. Because I mean, it's a very good question of how I could end up dead and how I could end up poor. It's one of those great mysteries that they would be wondering about forever. Um, anyway, so yeah. Anyway, because I am Epic and creator of 800 Galaxies. And realistically, it was more like, well, I wasn't like JFK or Jimmy Carter or the Yankees or the Africans, and I didn't just go, oh, kill everyone in the whole town, kill the whole communists, whatever. I wasn't like that. So, I mean, it's I wasn't like that. I'm like, it's individual, it's blah blah, it's this, it's that. I think they wanted me to be like that, where it's like I attack the whole of Germany and kill and have everyone kill. It's like, no, we're taking surrenders, and basically we're just switching over to a new system or whatever. Because I had the feeling that well, I mean, Hitler really realistically had nothing to do with Germany. Again, like I said, in somewhere around 1920 or 1930, I bought all of Germany and said, okay, you work for me now and you're all mine. And they were like, oh, we are? It's like, yep. And you're going to build what I want you to build. So basically that's what they did. Everybody went to work and they worked very hard. And basically great things came from Germany because I was like, all right, we're doing this the right way now. And so Germany actually, like I say, Germany, they loved it. It wasn't until other people moved into Germany that it actually became a problem. And then we were just kind of like, well, let's go to America. I think I moved everyone out. So anyway, but it gets complicated and everything else like that. Anyway, so and like Rodney Dean Briley is really the one, and probably Rick Bush is probably the one that's like zero tolerance. And it's like, well, how can that be exactly zero tolerance? Because, well, for one thing, no situation, like, you can't really do cookie cutter zero tolerance ever. It's not really possible. I mean, you can't do that in existence, and you can't do that in any time. So anyway, and there's a lot of other stuff like, I mean, that's really basically him, and it's just another Nixon, JFK, Jimmy Carter, all those other people just trying to do like absolute control or whatever. And it's like, well, for one thing, I mean, the opium plant is actually my plant. Like, I created it, and I kind of had it here because it's a painkiller and everything, and needed for hospital for surgeries and stuff. All the drugs that we have are basically because there's a real need for them and a real use for them, and abusing is just kind of like at the person's discretion or whatever. And it's like, I'm not a psychopath, so it's just that yeah, and realistically, it's all about someone else wanting to control the drug market and wanting to control people. And it's like, well, that's basically they're just trying to be immoral and wrong, and pretty much just the government trying to lock people up. And they couldn't say that they're spies, so for most people, they can just say that they're drug dealers or whatever, or just black. I don't know. Although being black is actually kind of like a cursed color anyway because of what Africa did. They attacked Germany and England 3 times. And like I said, they did actually, like, it was the black guy that actually did try and take out the queen. But her guards were better, and it's not talked about, and they suppressed it from the media. But basically, in a meeting between Zimbabwe or Africa and England, uh, basically he went for her, and pretty much his guys got shot and kicked out. So, and then from then on, Zimbabwe or the leaders in Africa were like, it is British oppression and German oppression, and it was just starting to basically trying to get a lot of people killed. Yeah, and basically he tried to rape the queen and failed, failed miserably. He just went for her or something like that. And I think what he actually did, it was a long time ago. It was before, it might be before Queen Elizabeth. And I think it was like the old queen or something like that. He, or one of them, one of the Zimbabwe leaders, basically stabbed the king in the chest and then tried to climb on top of the queen or something like that. I mean, that was the report I got. And like her guards basically, because they had armed guards there, so, and they basically shot the 2 Zimbabwe people or the 2 North Africans, I don't know, some black person. Anyway, so, and then he couldn't get her, the England or whatever queen, so he went after the Australian queen, found her, and took her ring, I think, or something like that. It's sort of a complicated story. Not talked about. Like I say, I love the queen. Like God save the queen, or Lucifer saved the queen. I love the queen. She was a good woman. And like Miss Thatcher or whatever tried to become the queen, and I was like, no, you're a public servant. You can't become the queen. I'm sorry. She's the queen, and she's always going to be the queen. So and also like England kind of like backed me on it as far as the queen's been the queen for this much time, and they're doing well, so they wanted to stay with the queen too, and not because Miss Thatcher or whatever wanted to be the queen. And it's like, no, you're already old and ugly. You're already old, so no. I should say ugly. I shouldn't be that mean, but anyway, she was trying to do like a revolt or something like that, and it's like, wow. Council tries to whatever. It's like, oh wow. Anyway, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. Um, the queen's the queen, and besides, her job is to just, and she does her job well. It's just wave and look good and wear my diamonds and wear my jewelry and just wander around and give public speeches. And the Queen of England did her job very well. I mean, she had a job to do, and later on, when the council was trying to do all this war stuff, because the council was actually trying to initiate wars was trying to use the England's army as a private army, and it's like, all right, that's it. The Queen gets full control, and that's when I was like, the Queen has full control. No. Because like one guy was having one army or one group in Britain do one thing, and then another guy was an army was on the council was trying to get the British army to do something else, and it's like, no, that's not happening. So I was like, nope, see the Queen. So basically, I gave the Queen full control of England and Britain, pretty much. And I'll get back into that in a minute.